So, what if the very system that's supposed to educate our kids was actually holding them back? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty powerful argument from a headmaster in Nepal. He believes their education system is completely missing the point. And, well, he has some really compelling ideas on how to fix it. Teaching students as if they were chickens in a coop. I mean, wow, that's the image the author uses to describe what's happening right now. It's such a jarring analogy, but it gets right to the heart of the problem he sees. A system that's all about cramming kids with information instead of helping them genuinely develop. Let's unpack what he means by that. Okay, so what is the actual problem here? Well, the author basically breaks it down to this central conflict. It's a system that's obsessed with the amount of time spent in school rather than the actual quality of the learning that's happening there. Get this, students in Nepal are in school for over 200 days a year. To put that in perspective, that's more time than students spend in some of the world's absolute best education systems. You'd think, more time in the classroom equals better results, right? Well, the reality is completely different. And this is the paradox. All those extra days in school, they're spent on just cramming facts and rote memorization. And the result, according to this headmaster on the ground, is a national education quality he flat out calls deplorable. With a schedule that intense, there's just no room for anything else. So, when you're laser focused on just what's in the books, what gets left behind? Well, all of this. And the author argues these aren't just, optional hobbies. He sees them as the essential building blocks of a well-rounded human being. Things like sports, art, social service, even ethics and morality. And that brings us to the real core of this whole debate. There's this common belief, this myth, about all these extra activities. A myth that the author is really trying to bust. So let's look at the myth versus the truth. Okay, here's the big myth, and it's one that a lot of parents and even teachers believe. The fear is that any time spent on activities outside the main curriculum, well, it's just a harmful distraction and it's going to make their grades suffer. But what the headmaster is actually seeing on the ground tells a completely different story. The truth, he argues, isn't that these things are a distraction at all. It's that the most successful students are often the very same ones who are deeply involved in them. And look, this isn't just a theory he has. It's a direct observation from someone on the front lines of education every single day. He's seen firsthand that these activities don't just create better athletes or artists. They create better students and ultimately more successful people in the long run. It's one thing to point out what's wrong, but it's a whole other thing to actually do something about it. So now we're going to look at the innovative solution this headmaster has actually put into practice at his own school. He calls it Bagless Dress-Free Day. It's pretty cool. Once a month on the last Friday, students leave their school bags and books at home. They don't have to wear their uniform. And the entire day is dedicated to all those extracurriculars we were just talking about. It's such a simple idea, but actually pretty radical when you think about it. Now, the really crucial point here is that this is not a holiday. It's absolutely a structured day of learning, just a different kind of learning. It's designed to give them practical, hands-on education and to relieve some of that constant academic fatigue. It complements the book learning. It doesn't replace it. So this initiative at one school is really part of a much bigger vision. The author is making a plea for a nationwide shift in how Nepal thinks about investing in its next generation. This comparison really gets to the absolute heart of the issue. On one side, you have the old goal, which is basically to create smart students, almost like they're on a conveyor belt, just focused on passing tests. But the new vision, it's so much richer. It's about nurturing a whole person, someone who's not just smart, but also skilled, happy, healthy, and cultured. So the big takeaway here is that a one-size-fits-all, academics-only approach can actually crush potential. Because every student is different, right? Extracurriculars give them the space to discover their unique talents, to build real confidence, and to find what they're truly passionate about. And what starts as just a hobby today could literally become a source of national pride tomorrow. The author makes it really clear that this kind of change isn't just going to happen by magic. To achieve this bigger vision, it's going to take a conscious investment from everybody, parents, schools, the state, to create an environment where these kids can really flourish. And that work, he says, has to start now. And this all leads us to the final, really powerful question he poses. And it's a challenge to all of us, really. What is the ultimate purpose of education?
Are we just trying to make kids into money-making machines? Or are we trying to help them become complete, fulfilled human beings? It's a huge question, and definitely one worth thinking about.